And so yeah, how did you end up sort of coming towards doing like a narrative feature for the first time?
Well, I am sorry to be talking over your song.
Why? You're crazy. It's your film. Sorry to be singing on your film.
So self-deprecating. Actually, I had never really specifically thought of myself as a documentary filmmaker. I didn't go to film school. I started off like in a visual arts program, but I was really drawn to telling stories, and I actually just kind of happened into the Army of One film because, well, that's a whole other story. But so in the background, I was always writing, and took a while to like get the first film off the ground. But I had another feature that was like a bigger budget film, but the process was going really slowly. So I was like, I just want to do a micro budget film that I can make happen quickly. And I was inspired by like other filmmakers in Toronto, like Ingrid Veninger, who have been like just making it happen. And so I was like, well, I can do that. And so it was quite a family affair. Like actually literally a lot of my family's in the film, but I mean like sort of chosen family too, like the way these guys came on board and the whole way like the film was put together.
Well, I guess like, how did they come on board?
Well, I mean, I can say something, you guys can say something. Basically, it's not, we didn't, because it was a low budget, we weren't going to be using professional actors. And so I decided, well, what about musicians? Because they, are performers, and they usually just are really interesting creative people. So that was sort of my modus operandi for a pretty like orthodox casting process. And it wasn't only musicians, there's actually a number of comedians in the film that like I think Laura, you actually helped me find.
I recruited some buddies, yeah.
So that was sort of the idea, and then I knew Laura, and so basically I was sort of combing through my Facebook, like, okay, who would be interesting to audition for this role? And then I didn't actually know Jose, but a friend of mine recommended him, and I looked him up online, and so it was just that kind of unorthodox process. And so then I guess you guys got these calls or emails out of the blue. Oh, thank you. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know if that happened. Anyhow, so maybe you want to speak to what that was like for you to get those contacts out of the blue, or what, I don't know, the casting process was like.
Yeah, I was living in the woods, so at the time, so I just thought I'll drive into Toronto. They must have seen a picture from 15 years ago. So, and we hit it off. There were all these other dudes waiting in the hallway when I came out. I was like, because it was like a really short audition, right? But we hung out for like an hour.
Yes, it's true. It was.
So when I came out of the hallway, I was like, "See you later, dudes."
That is kind of what happened.
You can all go home.
I had no idea. I figured like that was really fun. I'll never see them again.
The audition was a really interesting experience. I had never done that before. I was in a play in grade 7, but I don't know if I can. So, but when you approached me about it, you basically said exactly that, highlighting the fact that as a musician, you have to have a rapport with your audience if you're going to be present and feel it. So I felt like I had that going for me. I didn't have professional acting school credentials, but I had just rapport with people.
Yeah.
Hopefully, well, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally it, because it wasn't just that I scrolled through Facebook. It was like I watched videos, like I don't think I had seen you perform live, but I had sort of, watched videos, and I got a sense of that already.
She saw me on film.
Yeah.
So there we go. So
yeah, like the Peter Lynch film, I think, at the AGO. And that was definitely, I think having hung out with musicians too, I was like, I think this could be an interesting way to go with it. But.
Is there a question here?
Well, I was just going to say, watching the film, I thought you guys were like real professional actors. I didn't see
well, now we are. Awesome.
No, I didn't see anything. I was quite taken with the acting. I thought it was very good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I also thought, like, how did you come across the story, that kind of idea of a story? Because I think it's very interesting. I've always sort of, like, as you're walking down, you see all these porches, and it's like a whole like life of its own. There's like these little stories going on, and you never really think about it. And now, after seeing the film, it sort of brings that, well, there's a whole thing going on, but you never really know what it's all about. So I
Right.
thought it was a great idea
Oh,
to do that with the idea, the concept of the porches and what's going on.
sure. Well, thank you. And also, I agree about their performances. You wouldn't know that they had never done before. But there's lots of porches in Kingston, I imagine, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess for me, I no longer, that film was shot basically in my apartment, like all the interiors were my apartment. I don't live there any longer, but when I did, I used to work a lot on the porch because I just wanted to like get outside, and I would hear these snippets of conversations of people walking by, and I kind of just would eavesdrop on them all. And became like, I started writing them down, and not just when I was on my porch, but when I was in cafes and stuff. And so a number of them are verbatim conversations, or almost verbatim conversations. Like the one where the guy's like, yeah, you know, I think most people in Toronto are idiots. I'd rather listen to, like, that was like literally like down what somebody said. And I was just like, I never actually saw their faces because I was anyhow, I was in a cafe. But so I guess I've always been really interested in the rhythm of people's conversations, and just sort of what they say, like sort of about sort of even sort of the atmosphere of a neighborhood. And then they pass on, and you never find out what happens with them, or you never get anything more than that snippet. So that was kind of the genesis of the project. And then I thought to like have 3 different porches and have one main story and the other 2 to kind of interweave with them. And the Portuguese couple, I had read in the newspaper about this elderly couple that basically that had happened, where the man knew about an infidelity. Like, so apparently your dad says it happens all the time. Anyhow, so I thought that was an interesting counterpoint to the kind of love triangle that was happening in the main story. And then I wanted to have like a teenager story too. So.
What made you decide to use black and white?
Yeah, I decided that pretty early on, and I guess because I feel like there's so many stories that take, like that street that I used to live on, I saw a photo of it from 1912, and it looked almost the same. Like, it looked, except for there was like horse-drawn carriages. But the houses look very similar, and it just really struck me that like so many different stories have happened on that street, and so many different dramas on all those porches, and it's kind of timeless. So that was why I shot it in black and white, was to kind of capture that kind of.
I think you were smart, because I think with a minimal budget, the story becomes a bit more entrenched, because we see a lot in color.
Right.
So I think that doing it in the black and white was a really great idea.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Is a hand over here?
Yeah, I was curious, when did you always know you were going to cast musicians from the beginning? Because like I think the score works so good with the film that like, and I think it plays such an important role in
Right.
the film. I guess did you just get lucky because these 2 work good together, or did that kind of become part of the like as you were working with them? Were they originally going to score the film? Like, were the 2 characters going to originally score the film, or how did that kind of come about? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I get it.
The order of operations.
The order of operations. Well, you can correct me if you want. But yeah, so I think the first draft I wrote, I did not know that I was going to have these guys on board. It was once I realized, once we did do the casting process, and then I knew that it was going to be, like, I didn't originally think they were going to be musicians. They weren't musicians when I wrote the first draft.
Okay.
But once I was like, okay, it's these 2 people, why don't I tailor the script to them and to like what's gonna kind of get the best bang for the buck? I've got these like 2 amazing musicians, might as well utilize them. Okay, let's have a lot of music on screen. Let's have them play music. Let's have them have a history in a band. So all that got kind of rewritten. And then I know I was like asking Jose, could he play Twisted Crystalline? And then, oh, we're gonna have this other scene with music, and I don't know how it happened. Then it was like, are you guys can you score the film?
We chatted. We got together and decided what the story was going to be, the backstory that isn't even in the movie.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
that's right.
And then
yeah.
when we
even
were
had a
having that
band
conversation, I
There
was
was
like,
a
what
band.
song are we going to sing in the park? And you're like, we'll figure that out later. And then I looked at you, and I wrote it down right there. I got the song.
What was the band called?
That's true.
Morning bells.
And there was a poster.
We have
jar.
Somebody who has the poster.
I don't.
Hippie
Tippy jar open for morning bells.
That was on the poster. But it is true. I said, Jose, don't worry about that. We'll figure out the song later. And then I remember like the next day you were like, I've written this song. And I was like, hope he's learning his lines. It was $70,000. So that's, I mean, lots of people are making films for a very small amount of money now because of just, lack of funding, and there's a lot of freedom. I mean, there's difficulties too, but there's a kind of freedom in it. You can't do it forever though, because obviously it's not very much money. But
I got most of it.
I got a bit. A tip.
yeah, I mean that's the other thing, right? Because like everyone around you is working for way below rate, so. You kind of don't want to do that forever. But so that was your first question, and then like how long does the whole process take? It was actually pretty quick. It from the time I wrote the script to then we finished the film was just over a year actually, and then there was a bit of a pause before it came out into the world. So. But yeah, the actual making of it in some ways is quicker. It's a very contained kind of concept, all on one street. I wrote it with that in mind because I just really wanted to make a film and not sit around for years waiting to get the funding. So I designed it in a way that it could be done.
I have a small technical question. I'm not too sure if you want to
I thought you were
spill the
saying
beans on
technical problem.
this. I was wondering how you made the plastic bag move.
Oh,
That's a very
okay,
good
yeah,
I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
reveal your secrets.
Yeah.
If not, I totally understand.
No, it's okay.
It's been revealed on Instagram, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, you've seen the film, so I wouldn't say it before. So it's all the genius of the production designer,
Yeah.
Kaylee Clayton.
Awesome.
So yeah, we were like, okay, I don't think we really have a budget to have a real pigeon and a pigeon handler, and so it's actually what is it called?
It's a Tickle Me Elmo.
Yeah.
And it's been reprogrammed, so it just constantly fidgets, and it's just the exoskeleton.
That's right. We called it
Just this robot.
exoskeleton Elmo. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, and there was like a button, so Hallie the actor, had to press. She was pressing a button on the back. Go. And it was, I'm glad it seemed to work.
It was awesome.
It felt like it's actually a pigeon. And all those rustling sounds in the box, a lot of that was actually just the Elmo, and then a little bit of full sound effects added in.
Awesome. Did you write that comedy in, or did it just happen? Because it's quite comedic in parts.
No, that wasn't an improv. You mean like the whole pigeon part?
Yeah, well, just the comedy bits that were in the movie that were quite funny.
Oh, okay.
They were quite good, some of the comedic moments.
Yeah, most of them were written. The pigeon thing actually happened to me. A roommate I had actually came home and was like, what do I do with an injured pigeon? And I was like, did you bring a pigeon into the apartment? So I was like, that's going in a movie. Yes, most of the some of them were written. Most of them were written, but some of them, like that whole beard oil thing, was just that's like an improv thing. There's a number of improv things. And people are funny. And then I would also say, oh no, talk about that thing again, like the woman who was talking about her Asperger's husband, or there'd be certain things people, I'd tell them what to do, but there was a level of improv. And the Toronto tour guide, Sean McAuliffe, he's actually like the founder of Spacing in Toronto.
He's the king of Toronto tour guides.
Yeah, he is. He actually leads
Yeah.
tour guides,
Yeah.
so sort of a mockery of his own tour guide, of his own tours.
Yeah.
So he improvised that, and these
And
guys
we
improvised.
improvised the reaction to being
Yeah, because we
stared
didn't.
at.
Yeah, we didn't even know until we were filming it. Oh, these guys have to be talking too. It's just really weird for you to just sit there as he's talking. That doesn't look realistic. So I was like, okay, guys, you're gonna have to talk. But yeah, the timing worked out really.
I have
Well. Yes.
What now? What is it going to happen with this movie?
Oh, okay. Now I just have to say, those are your parents. Aren't they?
There we are. My mom.
Good job. So I believe you guys came. these are Jose's parents. You guys came all the way from Toronto to see the film. Thank you
At
so
one point,
much.
you considered auditioning them for.
That's true.
For
I don't know what happened with that.
I was like, no, I talked about it. I mentioned it to my dad, and he started going, "Well, I can come Tuesday at 9:30." And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, you just seemed like a prima donna. I was like, but no, thanks so much for coming, and I did see you taking photos of your son.
Yeah, it's
during the
really
movie.
brutal.
I saw you too.
What's that? That's nice. So sorry. Oh, what's next for the film? Well, we're going. We have a. We're still hearing about festivals that we're going to. We're going to a festival actually in Chile
Oh,
in
yeah.
a month called '15 Chile. It's in Santiago, and it's like March 24th to 29th. Yeah, in Chile. So it's a festival for women. It's a women's film festival, and actually most of the filmmakers are, I think, from Chile or the area, but they're showing my film like out of competition there. So.
And here in Canada?
And here in Canada, well, we have our theatrical release, which is going to be in June at the Lightbox in Toronto.
Oh,
So
good.
we really hope that you, thank you. If you can spread the word, that'd be great, because we'd love to get a lot of people out for that. And if you signed up on the mailing list, I won't like send lots of emails, but I will send out at least one email about that. We also found out today we got into this festival in Chicago. I didn't tell you this yet,
Awesome.
but called SimFest. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's Festival of Film and Music. So that should be
When's that?
exciting. That's in April.
This April?
Yeah.
There you go. You can all come too.
Sorry, another just
Sure.
a quickie here. With the $70,000 budget, is it possible with a small film like this to make your money back through festivals and small release, like pay-per-view or TV or any
Right.
kind of? Is that makeable?
Well, for me personally, when I made this film, it wasn't to make money. It was to like get because I said I started in documentary to make my first fiction film, and
Yeah.
I didn't actually personally lose money on this film because we got Arts Council grant, and
Okay.
I was able to pay myself back the money I had invested. No, I don't think we'll really. You don't make money from festivals. And the theatrical, it's all kind of grim. The theatrical, you don't really make much money, anything. And then, yeah, it is possible on VOD and, on demand and iTunes. One could. I don't know if it will actually, like how much we'll make. We could make some sales to television. So, but it's not a problem for this film. Part of having a low budget is then you're at least not that much in the red, but not really a moneymaker.
So everyone should buy it on iTunes several times.
Yes.
Yes.
Buy a copy
Yes.
for everyone you know.